Mr. President, kana luile ditopo le UDC, o eteletse pele Umbrella for Democratic Change. You had a social contract in the form of a manifesto. Ile ona lo gore ona le di solution tselo re la go solve mathata a Batswana. Batswana ba dumelana le wena la Umbrella for Democratic Change. Jane ke batla go itse gore this manifesto jano o bela go thuko ga ona di solution jano batla di solution mo go rona ka rona na le manifesto wa rona Botswana Congress Party o tsa go rona le copy ya go ona le di solution when you have a social contract ebile o di le di soluhetso o ka bo focusa mo go deliver on your promises wa rotsa mahakai kana Batswana ba tla go uta dikarabo.
Thank you very much. On your logic, then you shouldn't be here. If there's nothing on your side to engage with in the discourse about the transformation of this country, then you are effectively disqualifying yourself. You're saying all that needs to happen in this house is that the UDC must come here and roll out its manifesto and brook no submissions from anybody. That would be wrong. But let me deal with you on the logic of your proposition. First, the manifesto of a political party does not immediately, and I've said this before, does not immediately translate into the program of government. Because there are certain rules, processes, and protocols by which that manifesto becomes translatable and translated into government programs. One of the ways in which the manifesto gets translated is by legislation. When you legislate against established practices and institutions and ways of doing things, and that program is ongoing. Some of the laws have been brought here on urgency because it was deemed absolutely essential to have them. Why? On the basis of what we term in social theory, structural ambition, looking at the present institutions and their configuration. Can they take us from where we are to where we ought to be? That is the question. And so that manifesto finds expression in legislation, in the reforms that we have brought already, and that we will continue to bring. Some of them are lined up as we speak to enter this house to be debated. So on that front, that manifesto is being delivered. That delivery is a process. It is not a single event. That's the first thing that I want you to know. The second is this. You, Gobotswang, were elected in the constituency of Sefari by people who believed you had something worthwhile to say. By people who believed that you could
Procedure, Mr. Speaker.
into the debate.
Procedure, Honorable Dr. Gobotswang.
57.4. Most any orders. How can Baleban Topela are getting something? Mr. Speaker, well, I can get a copa talk on Mahoko. President Adisa, because what I had to delay the man, I have 57.4, Mr. Speaker. I know Kautomako Anna Dirisa. I like I won't describe. Yakar to Pula Gavata Safari. Like to Pula Gavata Chop on South. Yan may ask Akiko, Molehuko, Lali Dirisi, Mr. Speaker, Kazauro Lutile.
Let me make a ruling, Mr. President. Hakim already said that Ocaronare Otopilo Gudumela Horona, Le Bolling, Jahoro, Katisa saying more parliament. That is his line of debate. I'm not sure if I picked the word, but Mr. President, well, Tokota, the standing order 57.4. Koreskaradir is offensive and insulting language, but I have not heard you use that. I may have missed, I stand to be corrected, but I haven't yet. Honourable President.
Thank you very much. Far be it from me to use either offensive or derogatory language. I am always respectful because I know that even in our differing We must always mediate these differences with civility and respect. Maybe you are refuting the proposition I'm making, that those who elected you on an understanding that you had some meaningful contribution to make to the discourse and the transformation of this country. Unless you were standing up to refute that. I doubt you were. You agree with me? There's no way you cannot, unless you want to disqualify yourself. They elected you because they believed that you had something useful to say. They elected you because they, we would assume, had understood part of your manifesto. And they sent you here because they believed that certain aspects of that manifesto that they're articulating in this house. And those aspects of your manifesto that are worthy of articulation here must, in my humble submission, provide solutions, not to describe problems that are known. Those people elected because they understood their problems. They understand those problems better than you, better than any one of us here. We can teach them their problems. The only thing that we are sent here to do is to provide solutions to those trenchant and pressing, persistent difficulties that they face on an everyday basis. And so the manifesto of a party, therefore, of the UDC does not encapsulate, perhaps, maybe it does not encapsulate those aspects of your manifesto that earned you the vote of those people. And they sent you here to articulate those solutions that you yourself had in your manifesto. All I'm saying to you is let the discourse focus on you proffering those solutions, to enrich the discourse, to shape so that at some point you say yourself, I took part in the transformation of this country. This idea was appropriated from what I submitted. This is what I'm saying. And so don't reify, don't fetishize, don't idolize a manifesto. Exactly the point I started on. Don't reify, don't fetishize. Because that manifesto gave us the numbers that we got, but it didn't give us 100%. There was no consensus, full unanimity. So it is important, and that is why I come here to listen, because I might just be enriched. I said when I come here, I want intellectual nourishment. I must just be intellectually nourished and begin to review some of the approaches that I've taken, so that I don't fall into the trap that my eminent friend there did when he went to present a paper in Geneva. That's exactly the folly that I want to avoid. So when I come here, and what I expected was to hear answers, solutions suggested, so that you can go back to the people and say, we gave them solutions. Those characters in the government refused. They rejected our solutions. Then you have acquitted yourself on their mandate. This is the point, and that's my answer to your protest.
Elucidation, Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam of the House.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. President. I think we are offering solutions. You may not be hearing them, but we are. For example, one solution I offered is that if you are going to change a culture of people, if you are going to change how people see things, you must bring them along. And I give the example, for example, of the passport issue. You may be convinced. It may be a brilliant idea. But you need to take the whole nation with you. How do you do that? I mean, you engage them in quota meetings. You give us a chance for us to engage them. You get a sense of where people are going and explain why this is important to this country, for example. So that's the solutions. It may not be, and we're saying, personally, I've said that many times, I appreciate the economic condition that the country is in. And I do not believe we can turn around this ship, in 12 months. We can turn it a bit, but I'm not too sure we can go to the 2020s or 2023 situation in 12 months. And our solution is dream big, okay, but promise in small bits so that people will not be disappointed in 12 months. It may be my solution, maybe it's not your solution. You may not agree with that particular approach, but I do. I'll give you another example, Mr. Speaker, Your Excellency. Huh? Your time. Okay, one more minute, yes. I you came here for nourishment. Listen to us. You see, let's engage. And we are saying, for example, I've said this in this house. You're bringing investors. Great idea. And I've said in this house that if we want investors in this country, we must also educate the public out there that investors mean people who don't look like you, who don't eat like you, who don't maybe even pray like you. But have the mindset to be able to encourage this nation to have a broader mindset about incorporating other people. So for me, embracing other people. And I'm saying that those things don't come overnight. And I really think we don't spend enough time, I think, in actually saying what are the implications of this new path. A brilliant path, because we want investors, we want money here, but I'm saying you don't bring people along. That is my solution, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm indebted. You remind me of an argument I had to push at the Court of Appeal when I said to the judges, the people out there on whose behalf you purport to rule are way ahead of you on many of these issues that hold you hostage. I said to them, all you are doing here is creating ruses and excuses for conservatism. And you justify the conservatism by referencing the people who are way ahead. Our people have lived with people of different races, different origins, different religions for a very long time. They accept, they understand, they embrace these people. Absolutely. And I've interacted with people across the breadth and dimensions of this country. And I've become very aware, acutely aware of the fact that sometimes when leaders refuse to lead, they pretend it is the people who don't want to be led. But on many of these issues, it is actually the people leading. But I'll get back to that. The point I was making was that we seek solutions when we come here. And I demonstrated to the eminent friend, member for Tswapong South, that he has something to offer. Every one of you here has something to offer. Please offer it. Please offer well thought out, well fashioned solutions that can challenge those that are being brought from this side, that can enrich and improve the country, not for ourselves alone, but for the people out there.
Clarification.
They are a lot.
Pule, Excellency.
30 seconds, please.